really. Like, what is considered like
viral?
Yeah, like from a Fiji point of view.
Because when you're just getting a lot of attention, and a lot of people who's big on Twitter.
Oh, okay,
that's
okay.
commenting on it. Yeah.
So it's not really that that big of a deal. But dude, like having almost 7,000 views. That's a lot for my account. Are we on right now?
Yep.
We live, baby. Welcome everybody. Oh, we're supposed to go live on Facebook too. Isa. Why? Again.
Aren't you with the
Yeah. Definitely. Sorry guys. Just getting our Twitter feed live and ready. Twitter feed. Facebook feed. On. Actually, do you want to type that out? On the mat, with Jonathan Bati, live. So I put out a tweet today I didn't think was that big of a deal. So apparently it was a big deal. Got a lot of people worked up. A lot of people worked up. Which is okay. It's okay. It's okay for us to have a good conversation about our culture. About Itaukei culture. Oh. Network. You too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's better now.
Oh, my network's down again. Network's weak, eh? Do you want to go move that Wi-Fi maybe out a little bit? It's on nice glass counter thing, or just bring it. I think it's just tucked into the corner a little bit. What's up, everybody? We're having some connection issues out here in the bush right now. Suliasi, Sabanada, how are you guys doing? How are you doing? So I put out a tweet. Oh yeah, that's good, Tui. That helped. I got full bars now on my phone, at least. We're doing some very special little tweaks here to make sure that we can operate. Out here. Yeah. Not lots of strong cell signal out here. So I put out a tweet earlier today, just looking at my Twitter, that I didn't think was going to be so controversial. But I don't know. I guess it was. What did I say? I'm also learning how to use Twitter.
You gotta give them the context of what the tweet.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's a great point. So I was reading a couple articles because GCC was happening today. Great Council of Chiefs meeting. First one in a long time, eh?
16 years.
16 years, eh? Jeez. So no sound. You guys, can somebody hear me? You guys hear me? You guys can hear me? Trying to reconnect due to a poor wireless connection. Volume, please. Mic test. That mic's on? Everybody can hear me there?
Yeah.
It must be due to our...
Lutherans.
Is it due... Check, mic check on Facebook? I got sound here. I got the movement thing going on. You guys can't hear me?
Yeah.
If you guys can't hear me, hop onto our YouTube live. Okay. Delphina, sorry. Just hop onto our YouTube live. I'll just end this here because I want to talk about the comment that I made on the Great Council of Chiefs meeting today. So, how do I put this comment? Sorry. Go over to YouTube live. Okay, I'm ending that broadcast. Now I just got to focus on you, special people. Thank you for joining. So, I was reading. There's lots of reports today about Great Council of Chiefs meeting and all this stuff, the different protocols that were going on, and all the different people who were there, and it was just I was reading it, and being half Fijian and half Canadian, reading it from, I guess I just see lots of things in different perspectives, and so which is like an advantage at times, but it's also a huge disadvantage at times. Like it means that like um there's a lot of things that I don't get to understand, or a lot of things that I don't just like default know. So I ask questions without feeling like an idiot. So I think I get to ask a lot of questions that like some of you probably think are stupid, but there's also probably a lot of you that might think like, oh, that is like a question I also have, but I'm like too embarrassed to ask it. Or like actually I hear a lot of like I ask questions to people all the time, like even today, what does this mean? And they're like, "Oh, I couldn't really tell you like exactly what that means." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So like I'm not the only one, you know? So in I was reading different reports and they're like dropping all these like different names of ceremonies and titles of all these different chiefs, and I'm like, "Oh, what does this mean?" Like asking people, and there's some people like they couldn't explain it, and no shame, just is what it is. And so I made this comment on Twitter. I said, "In light of the Great Council of Chiefs, the GCC meeting happening today, we read all these news articles saying things like Wuniwalu na tui kamba with no other explanation. Like everyone knows what that means. The Italki culture would be so much more relevant if people like reporters, journalists, people like us, social media influencers, would go one step further and translate and explain these things in English so we can all, white, brown, yellow, black, whatever your skin color is, understand and respect ourselves and each other." And that got like really um it got some people like pretty ticked off, I think. And so, um,
You gotta explain like what GCC is. Some people are asking.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So the GCC is the Great Council of Chiefs. It's like like in Fijian culture, like it's similar to like Aboriginal Australian culture, or I know like even like First Nations people in Canada, like we're very very connected to the land. And in Fiji, they call the land the Vanua. And so, like having these kind of so the meeting is like the Great Council, like they say GCC Great Council of Chiefs. So all the high chiefs from each province in Fiji go with the representatives and all go and meet together. I don't know how long the GCC first started, and it's been in the last century.
Yeah.
Like it's not something that's always happened in Fijian culture, like because we were all fighting and at war with each other all the time.
Mm.
I think it was initiated in 19 was it in okay, this let me look this up. Great Council of Chiefs Fiji, because I just read up on it, and it was initiated or was brought into existence and it was okay. So here we go. Well, in its most recent form, was established under Section 116 of the now defunct 1997 Constitution, but it actually predated the Constitution by many years, having been established by the British colonial rulers as an advisory body in 1876. 2 years after Fiji.
It's not okay. Yeah, you better.
We're on again, and we're down to
Uh,
two viewers.
wait. Okay, yeah. You're back. You're back. You're back. You're back.
Yeah,
All right. You gotta say that
we're
again.
going. We're going again.
Mm-hmm.
Are we live? Can
Yeah.
you guys hear me? I'm sorry. We're having connection issues. We're out in the jungle. It's like not working very well. Everybody can hear me. So I was talking about the Great Council of Chiefs. So in its most recent form, it was created or established in the Constitution in 1997, which is now defunct. But it was actually started in 1876 by the British colonial rulers because they wanted an advisory board from the indigenous Fijian people to them. So like there's a lot. I guess going back to this, you know, this will be probably a controversial thing to talk about. Are we good right now?
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody can you.
So, um, like colonialism definitely did like a lot of damage around the world. Obviously, I think we can all agree with that. But then you have people like that went around and literally like just destroyed races of people. You know, like and they didn't consider the cultures. They didn't like the cultures, so they just got rid of it. So I think that's just how I look at life too. Is like, yeah, there's a lot of damage done by colonial like influence like all over the world. But there was also like it was also so much worse Like, it also could have been so much worse. If there was like a conquering nation, there could have been worse conquering nations that came to Fiji. Like, we could not exist right now, you know?
Mm.
If it had been like the what's his name? Like from Wrath of the Khans. Um
Genghis Khan.
yeah, Genghis Khan, right? Like he
King
just
Genghis
like
Khan.
get like let's check this out. How many people did he kill?
You may want to go sit on top of that mountain in the background. You might
Yeah,
get a connection.
yeah. So the Khan's armies slaughtered as many as 40 million people.
That's crazy.
And so there's like a crazy amount of like his DNA, like his actual DNA, in like all over the world because he conquered and like went over so many nations. It was
Mm.
just like sleeping with so many girls.
Mm.
So that's a whole like another side note. But I'm just saying, like, I understand that, like, you know, because I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty neat that like like the British colonial rulers who were in Fiji were like, let's, you know what, let's make up a group of representatives from the culture to like advise us, right, on how to like conduct government in this country.
Mm.
Why are you bringing your freaking government and your ideas and your whatever into Fiji? Yeah, but also like, thanks for not killing us. Thanks for not just like doing what like a bunch of other like Hitler and Genghis Khan and all these guys did, Stalin, when they went and they did their like conquering.
Mm.
They didn't like come up with advisory boards, you know what I mean?
Mm.
From the people there. I just look at it like it could have been so much worse. It did a lot of damage, but it could have been so much worse.
Mm.
So is that a little bit of backstory? Back to the Great Council of Chiefs. That's where they came from. So I was just saying, like, with this whole meeting, the Great Council of Chiefs meeting happening in Fiji right now, there's just a lot of like terminology. I was thinking, like, you don't have to you don't have to explain it to me if I'm a person who doesn't understand it. Like, if I'm one of those white, black, yellow people of different races, or like, in Fiji, you don't have to explain it to me. But then don't go and expect me to find it valuable. You know? Like, yeah, and because I had comments like, well, if you want to learn, then like it's on you. It's not on us to explain ourselves to you. If you want to learn it, then learn it. And I agree with that actually. There was a comment on my Twitter about that. I was like, yeah, actually, that is true. Like, we shouldn't have to explain ourselves to everybody, But like, I don't start like thinking of this from like a business perspective. I don't start a business and just expect people to come to my business because I exist. Like, I'm like you should. I started a coffee shop. You should find me valuable because I'm here. Because I serve coffee. You should just like you should be coming to my coffee shop. That's not how business works. I have to put the money into advertising. I have to do the social media marketing. I have to pay my staff well and treat them properly so they smile at work and and they have a safe place to work so that when you walk in the door, you get great customer service. Like, I don't just get to simply exist and for you to find me important. That's just not how the world works. So like, it's on us as Itoke people, or if you're of another culture, it's on you to explain like your culture to other people for them to find it valuable. Like, so where do I go here? Should I just read all the replies?
Yep. Yep.
That'd be
The quote in the tweet.
I'll just start from the most recent one.
Uh-huh.
Because indigenous knowledge and power doesn't owe colonizers and the Western world an explanation. Even English bows, lest you forget STFU, period. Yeah, okay, you don't owe the world explanation. Couldn't agree more. At Lady Charlemagne. You do not, but then do not expect people to find us valuable. Don't expect people to, you know, come to Fiji, and if I'm a property developer, or I'm a guy who's like, oh, Fiji has lots of gold, I'm going to buy this lease because it's on freehold or whatever. I'm going to start digging this land up. And you're like, you can't do that. You didn't, you know what that means to the Vanua? You know what happened there? That's an old site. There's a Yavu there. There's some sort of like, important like burial grounds or something in that place. And it's like, You don't expect me to find your stuff valuable. Like I bought this, and then like you're just like you should find it valuable. Like, you have to tell me why it's valuable, and then I won't do it. So like I think we have to like I agree with what this person's saying. Indigenous knowledge and power doesn't owe colonizers. You don't owe anybody anything.
Mm.
I totally agree. We do not owe anybody anything. But then we cannot then turn around and be like, find me valuable. If if you want to be found if you want to be found valuable, then you have to make yourself valuable. I think. That's just how the world works, unfortunately.
Mm.
Like I find all people, human beings are valuable.
Mm.
But like I don't know what to respect in your culture if you haven't told me about it. I don't know to go to fresh tea and coffee like if somebody didn't tell me about it first. And I don't go there over another place unless I hear like the service is really good or that the coffee is really good or the lattes are really good.
Mm.
This person at Bellaboo _000. The Itoke culture would be so much more relevant. Like, well, that's what I said. And then she said, "Don't piss me off." That's funny. Mere at Highlander _FJ. No. Just say no. That we wouldn't be. We don't need to explain ourselves. When you don't, and so this person Akinisi at Akinisi411. When you don't acknowledge your privilege the first time, you will continue to show. The onus is on you. Knowledge is everywhere, but don't conflate your ignorance with our relevance. Knowledge is everywhere, but don't conflate your ignorance. Don't confuse your ignorance with our relevance. It is still a meaningful experience that transcends language, but you have to ask. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Mm.
Like, um, like it's if you're not going to speak in a way that other people can understand, then you will just miss those people. That's why I try, and I don't do it all the time, but like I try my best to not. Dude, I'm sweating so much. I try my best. Yeah, phew, this is stressful. I try my best not to use like really big words and stuff like that. Like Twitter is like a place where I feel like I don't know, like I just say it the way I think.
Yes.
But I try to like usually speak in a way that like a third grade level. That's like what we like try to say. Is like speak at a common denominator for as many people as you can. Because like you want to go below the third grade threshold where you just start sounding like an imbecile or like a
Mm.
two like what is it, second graders are 6 years old. Like you don't want to sound like that, but you want to sound like you don't need to use big words just because you know big words.
Mm.
That doesn't make sense. Um, so I don't. Where was I going with that? Knowledge is everywhere, but don't conflate your ignorance with our relevance. It is still a meaningful experience that transcends language too, but you have to ask. Yeah, so I would agree. You can ask, but we'll go. I guess if you ask, if somebody comes and asks a question about culture, then like I think you should answer the question or
Mm.
try your best to be like, hey, this is how I would say. And if you're not answering their question, for instance, what is his name? The Wuniwalu Natui Kampa, right?
Yeah.
Ratu Epinisa? Ratu Epeli? Lakambao?
Tingling.
Ratu Epinisa Lakambao, right?
I don't even know who the turun.
Yeah. So anyway, so this
Wuniwalu.
title, say for instance, the Wuniwalu Natui Kamba, right? I was like curious. I'm like, okay, that's another one. Like, what does that mean, right?
Mm.
And like, you can't exactly translate Wuniwalu Natui Kamba, right? Like,
Yeah.
like what? Like I was saying to you, right? Like a military or army and Kamba, like it doesn't really exact, but really just like what people are looking for is like if you're gonna say that title and then his name, just in parentheses, like if you're a reporter, just put the highest chief of Mbao, right?
Mm.
That's where that is, right?
Yeah.
Kamba, right?
I think
Yeah.
so.
So you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but like I'm not saying like literal translations because I know like Fijian to English exactly word for word doesn't work out. I'm just saying like if you're gonna put the title, the people who find it valuable are the people who know, and
Mm.
that's it. But if you're trying to bring in all the people who don't know, Like when I'm like doing social media or doing business, I'm speaking to the people that I don't know. Once in a while, I'll release like a video or a post, like for, and it'll obviously only be relevant for the people we know. But that doesn't do us any good as far as like reaching out and bringing in new people.
Mm.
So we can speak with this language and not reach any new people if we sit there and we're like we don't need new like anybody to understand. If they want to understand us, then they can come and ask.
Mm.
It's like, okay, yeah, that's an attitude that you can have. Or you can have the attitude of like, you know what, I'm gonna go out of my way and like explain it because it's actually valuable. Because to me, I'm like, if people who find their culture like really, really valuable are like passionate about it, like,
I
huh,
want to tell
I
other
want to
people.
talk about it. Like, like if I'm a reporter, I'm like thinking, I'm like, this is my job, and people of all races, religions, and around the world, you can be reading this report.
Mm.
I try to like, you know, okay, maybe not everybody knows what that means. So I'm
Mm.
gonna just like put a little explanation there. This is the highest chief or the highest high chief from this area,
Mm.
right? That's
Mm.
what that means. Um, and then you can reach people outside of the people who already know.
Yeah.
So we'll skip down. Right, wrong. That will require a history lesson as basic as primary level Kai. Sakai. I think I responded to this one, didn't I?
Yeah. So you said, but what would you say to a Caroline? What is what about not become?
Right, yeah, because um, that's like a really I don't I'm like it's easy. It's really easy to online to like these things out of context,
Mm.
and I know that a lot of people are like pretty sensitive about GCC and like the Vanua right now because of like where it's been in the last 16 years, and like
Yeah.
people not, and I get like it makes sense to me, but like we still need to be strategic about it and still need to come at it from a way that like we s- if we want people to find it valuable, we need to build the value. Like like I said with business, I don't default people to expect them to find me valuable simply because I exist. That's like entitled to me.
Mm.
Like I think I just look at everything very transactionally. And I know that doesn't always work well, and like that's not the way you should approach relationships, I guess.
Mm.
But I just think like if this response was in a way like me asking a question, what does the Vunivaluna Tuikamba mean? And his response is that would require a history lesson as a basic as a primary level. It's like that doesn't help, right?
Mm.
Like I get it. Like this is Twitter, right? It's a back and forth. Like we're
Yeah.
supposed to be
Yeah.
mean to each other, right? I get it. This is Twitter. Like you're mean to me, I'm nice to you, you're mean to me. That's kind of like how this goes. But like for if that was a real response, and I don't know what the tone of that is, like that'll just piss somebody off.
Alright.
Like if you respond like, "Hey, what you know this?" Like, bro, that's like second grade learning stuff. Get out of here with that question.
Mm.
Like that is like not there's no stupid questions
Right.
like kind of mentality, right?
Right.
Like that's like that's a stupid question.
Mm.
Go take a history lesson.
Mm.
Like okay, thanks for not answering, right? And this person at Z Niall underscore. Wait, what? This is the best one at UTO Utotelic. Tweets like this belong in the rubbish. Oh,
Would
dear.
you read your response to
The
the?
salted one?
Yeah.
We're on that one now. So, the salted one. Nope. The Itoke culture would be much more relevant if white, brown, black, yellow people learn the Itoke language and culture. That would be more meaningful, don't you think? That's what he said.
Mm.
So we'll click on that. Um, so again, this is like I have a question about the culture. Don't ask me questions about the culture until you've learned the language. What? So you're saying if I have a question, like that's not the most constructive way to have a conversation to educate people. Like there's a super fun way to actually have this conversation. We had like a fun time figuring out some things today,
Mm.
like around different terms that we were talking about, and like
Mm.
how would you put that in English? And that was actually like enlightening for me, um, because like I've asked like my own cousins and some of my uncles, like, when we say this in a protocol, what does this mean? And everybody said it in every protocol for their whole lives, and they're like, "Oh, we don't really know what is the meaning, but we know we say it in this protocol."
It's what
And then we start conversation.
my father taught me, and
Mm,
it's like my
right,
grandfather taught me.
right.
It goes back to that saying.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
saying. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I agree with that story we were telling. And so, well, the story that we were telling, that for any of you who don't know, is like, um, Stephanie, my wife, has a story about like this. This mom was making a like a turkey dinner, and turkeys are like just basically a huge chicken, so they didn't fit. But she split the turkey in half and cooked it in two different pots. And her daughter was like asked her mom like, why do you always cook it in two different pots? And she was like, well, I don't know. That's what my mom did. And so the mom of this girl went to ask the grandma, like, "Mom, why did you my daughter asked me, so why did you always cook the turkey in two different pots?" And the grandma was like, "Well, that's just because I never had a pot that was big enough to fit a whole turkey." So then the next generation is like doing the same thing for not
Yeah,
knowing that like the only reason that it wasn't done is because they didn't have the
right.
resources. And so it's fine. Like, it's also fine to just be for to keep doing things
Mm,
if they're not like hurting people, like saying things in cultural ceremonies that you don't necessarily know the meaning of,
mm,
but they're not offensive. They're actually supposed to be said,
mm,
and you don't know why. That's fine.
mm,
And but like, what it's fun actually to like when somebody from the outside comes in and asks a question, and then you start having a conversation around it, and that's fun.
yeah.
But so to this guy saying people should learn, like, if you want to know the culture, you should learn the language. And I was like, so this is what I said. So if someone doesn't understand our Itoke culture, they should just learn the language. And I said, watch our culture die. One day, the entitlement you feel will wither as you watch a PM, prime minister, or leadership that isn't Itoke based eliminate parts of our culture because they were never educated, because they were never, because they were told they should have learned the language if they wanted to understand our culture. Nabengarangarabi Wakabanua is happening today in Bao. If one of the news reports could just explain like a while to figure out like how to translate this properly, but it was valuable to me. What do
Mm.
you think?
Yeah, it
Like
is.
like to put like some other words to it, because
Mm-hmm.
we know like it's just like the Bengarabi Navakwanua is like just it's part of like the Cebu Cebu, right?
Yeah.
It's like um it's just part of it. Like, how do you even explain it? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain that, but what we kind of boiled it down to, and maybe if some of you will disagree or have things to add to this, but I, w- I wish, so I said, if one of the news reports could just explain what that is quickly in their report, like it's a protocol in which each party identifies themselves to the place they are visiting, and after which a response is given by the host, right?
Mm.
So
Mm.
you're like a matangali, or like a group of people just like Risiko going to visit somebody like one of your clan in another village, right?
Mm.
And you do your sebsebu, and you just say, this is who we are, this is where we're from, and then this is the vanua, this is the place that we are representing, and we come to your vanua and we speak to we
Mm.
honor the head of your vanua, and then they respond, and typically nowadays, like I said to my dad today, it's usually acceptance, right? Typically. But there's also many cases, even in this veranda right here, where people were rejected, and so there's a response then from the host, to the people, the visitors,
Mm.
either with acceptance or rejection. So if that explanation was given, more people would understand. And I said, rule to live by: assume people don't know and explain accordingly. It's not for them to have known, but for us to explain. So if we live as though like, I don't expect you to know, like, you can live like that. And most people responding to this tweet are like, well, why should we? If people want to learn, or if people want to know, then they should express their interest to learn. And it's like, yeah, definitely, I agree. But you can also be proactive and just teach without people asking,
Yes.
and then you'll see like, man, people start engaging. Like, the Vanua will get way more protected, because there's leaders, there's business owners, there's foreign investors, there's parliamentarians coming down the line, not necessarily in the next 5 years or 10 years or even this generation, that will want to abolish certain things about our culture because they were never educated in it, or they're going to make mistakes because we said learn the language. And I think we can do better than that as
Yeah.
Itoke people.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's been done before, and
it
it's been done by
it was done 16 years ago, right?
not only foreigner but any Tokay
Yeah, by Itoke
who
people, right?
abolished GCC
Yeah.
for
So
16
like,
years.
you're right. It doesn't. It doesn't take somebody from outside. Even
Mm-hmm.
it takes like so. The GCC was abolished 16 years ago by the last PM, and so I don't want to get into politics. That's not what we do here.
Mm-hmm.
But he his own culture didn't provide the value, enough value, or more value, or enough value for him to keep the GCC going than was on the opposite. There was obviously more value to eliminate the GCC than to
Mm,
keep it going.
mm,
So for him to have abolished it, we should have done a better job. We, as like speaking as a culture, as his elders, should have done a better job in building the value and like giving him a real reason to be like, you know what, I will not abolish GCC. I would rather step down. I would rather die than to abolish the GCC
mm,
because that's how much it means to me, and that's how much the vanua like flows through my veins.
mm,
But we didn't do that, and so it was abolished. Now it's been brought back, and lots of apologies are probably being made today
mm,
on behalf of the government, to the church, and to all these places, right?
mm,
But that's what happens. Even one of our own, if the value is not given, can find a reason inside their hearts to get rid of the culture,
mm.
right? So, um, this person, yeah, it's is there any questions on there? Or anything?
Um, yeah. What's a good resource to learn Fijian language from Terrence?
Well, that's a good question. I know that there's Fijian language teachers in different places, but I don't actually know a good place
Yeah.
to learn.
Well, if anybody who's watching this, if you know
Yeah,
where we could like
yeah. If anybody
learn
knows a good place,
a resource to learn Fijian,
yeah,
please put below
yeah,
or direct whoever's on this live to it.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
I'm actually gonna do a social media post live with you guys here. I'm gonna go live. I'm gonna do a social media post because we're in front of this beautiful light with the bag, with the mysterious bag hanging behind us up here. Guys, we're on YouTube live right now, and we have had a question about from somebody who wants to know where they can learn Fijian. Is there a resource online or somebody who does Fijian classes that people can access if they want to learn the Fijian language? If there is, drop it in the comments below. Thanks. Okay,
mm,
we can edit that up and
yeah.
post that. So, guys, it's as easy as that. Social media. Now you have a post. Do that once a day. You can post every day. And
Well,
yeah, okay.
you wanna start
Questions.
with questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's start with these questions. We can do a few of them, unless we're just beating a dead horse.
Okay.
Um, and then we can move on to some of the questions from yesterday.
All right.
But I think that was kind of like the current events from today. Was there anything actually like? Let's actually do these questions, then we can move on to current
Yeah.
events. Yeah.
um. Yeah. From Ryan. Hello again.
Hey, buddy.
From an outsider's perception, there is so much land that isn't being used. Why
Mm,
is so much of the land not being utilized?
mm,
Is it crown land that isn't for sale, zoning issue, or something?
mm. That's a great question. And that's why I love having this like open forum discussion,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's how I love this live is because of people like Ryan. Just like asking, like being able to respond and stuff like that. It's fun. It's fun. Um, why is so much land, empty land? So, like all of the land, well, like a lot of land that you see behind us is my lease. Can you see that from here?
Yeah.
Like the kind of like that whole grassy area on the left side of your screen
Mm.
is on our lease. But before that, there is about 3,500 acres in our Matangali in reserve land. So in Fijian, we call it kovu kovu. So in our reserve land. So a lot of
What's
land,
Kobu?
huh? That's like the reserve,
Okay.
like like reserve for the clan. So
Okay.
that was, I think, the original purpose of kovu kovu was actually not to lease.
Mm.
Like was the purpose was to protect people's like kana kana, which is like the traditional like places like where they would be, where our ancestors were given different places to plant. So like usually like at least in our case, like
Mm.
our Turang ni Matangali was like my great my great grandfather. Said like
He's the head chief of
yeah,
the Matangali.
of this Matangali, small Matangali
What's the Fijian? What's the English word for Matangali?
clan.
Clan.
Clan, yeah.
Okay.
So he was the chief of our clan. Thank you. And he said to each of his like sons, basically, like you go. This is your place to plant over there on that mountain. You're on the other side of that mountain. You're at that where the river goes and forks, where those two rivers meet. In that Becca, like the place where the delta of the river. That's your place. You guys up there. And so like the Kovu Kovu was meant, to protect the our indigenous way of life, right? Living off the land and such, right? So I think a lot of land is tied up in these Kovu Kovus
Mm.
because let me just look this up here.
While you're looking that up, somebody answered that question. Okay.
So
Go ahead.
so 9% of freehold land in Fiji is I think in future I should have you on the laptop
Mm-hmm.
and I can just ask you.
Yeah.
You can be like my Jamie on Joe Rogan. They'd be like, "Hey, dude, can you look it up?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and just have it on like a TV screen behind me so that I can act like I know. We just
Okay.
like yeah, it's like lots of Fiji is freehold. Actually, 9% of Fiji exactly is freehold. Like I know. No, so yeah, so 9%. Yeah, okay, 9% of Fiji is freehold land. Let me see how much is crown land is, and the rest would be belonging to Matangalis. Uh, Anyways, it doesn't look like I'm gonna be able to find this answer. So 9% of it is freehold. Another small percentage is crown land, and the vast majority is tied up in different clans.
Mm.
And so it's it's not easy to lease out of a reserve like we did. But like my purpose here is like I don't want to step on anybody's toes. Like obviously, like we're still avoiding people's real kanakanas, right? The real places where they were like given to plant, and I think
Yeah.
that's like general like common knowledge, right? Is like you wouldn't do
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so um there's a lot of red tape around like leasing, getting your lease, and it's very very hard for somebody who isn't in the Volan Kaumbula. Like that's the book in which all of our names are registered. So where my father is from, that's the place where I can register basically. So my name is registered because my father is from here. If my mother was from here and my father was Canadian, then I won't have any place in Fiji basically. Really? Like people say know your place, or like I would have no place. Very like it's a patriarchal society. Like
Mm.
it's the bloodline of the male.
Mm.
So my name is in this place, so it's a lot easier for me to be able to lease from my own clan.
Mm.
Just simply because, not because I got to skip steps, but because I'm known here, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to like getting the 60% consent from all the Matangali members, like it's a lot easier for me to sit down in the meeting like I always do and go through the process of getting the consent. Like
Mm.
it's just a bit getting a consent letter from the Turani Matangali, right? The chief of our clan.
Yeah.
I'm here. I live in here. If I'm just somebody from outside, like then I have to come again with a representative
Yeah.
and present the angona and blah blah blah. Like all the things that should be done, but it just takes a long time. So I think just the red tape and 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 what people think. I haven't experienced it. I don't think like the corruption with the whole. leasing authorities and stuff like that. I mean, I've dealt with like it takes a long time, but I don't blame that on any one person. But I've never been the victim, I think,
Mm.
or I've never given in to corruption. At least
Mm.
things have taken a long time, longer than I feel like they should have. But this also Fiji. Like I think everybody tries their best,
Mm.
and so red tape, confusion, not much knowledge on like what should be done because I paid fees that I shouldn't have apparently paid or I paid too much. And
Mm.
so it would be nice if there was just like a boom, 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 boom list, right?
Mm.
Of how you go about this.
Yeah.
But then you there is when you go get the application and then it's like, okay, there's this fee. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. I guess I'll pay the fee. Oh, there's this fee again. And you're like, okay. So I don't know what that is, but yeah, got the
Mm.
lease, but it is not easy, and I think that's why there's lots of empty land. Thank
Mm.
you, Ryan.
Can I just go back to the first question?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the question from Terence: what's a good resource to learn Fijian? Oh, Jessica's online right now.
Okay.
Thank you, Jessica. Okay, we have a teaching here in Brisbane that does lessons online. All right.
Oh, cool.
And Tui Mali Mali from Tui Mali Mali. See a History of Fiji by R.A. Derrick, 1946.
Okay, let me type that in.
He has the meaning and the English translation of Nabuni Baru na Tui Kampa.
Really?
Yeah. So apparently it's a book, I think.
Oh, no, not see a history. The
Yeah.
name is a history.
A history. Yeah.
Dude,
History of
I
Fiji.
thank you. Like that's why this is why these conversations are cool because like typing it in now,
Mm.
gonna watch it.
From Tui Mali Mali. Thank you,
A
Tui Mali
history of
Mali.
Fiji
Mm. A History of Fiji by R.A. Derrick.
book. Uh, a history of Fiji by Fiji. No, Fiji: A Short History. Derek Scar. The History of Fiji. Alfred G. Mayer. Dang it. If you can send that link, like comment on this video with a link, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't find it in a. Oh, Leaky's crying.
Is it? So,
Don't look at him. Don't look at him. Otherwise, you know, when your kids cry, you don't always have to give them attention. There's a difference between like the cry, like my leg got cut off, and the cry, like my feelings are hurt, and I might be a bit hurt. So
okay.
when you're raising boys, you gotta make them tough.
Right, a question. William Takao. Don't
Mm.
you think the Great Council of Chiefs will just slow down decision making process?
Uh, I guess we've talked about this before. Like, I think if you have the wrong people in any leadership position, then yeah, you will slow down leadership processes. So, I've served on leadership teams, and I've been part of companies that have, you know, they're like on like giving leadership to different businesses or whatever, and you can see very quickly. And when I've been part of leadership teams, like I said, that have a bunch of slow movers and like one or two fast movers.
Hmm.
And like if you're willing, if you if it's a wise group of people and they elect like a diverse, but I guess it's not election, right?
Hmm.
Who's the chiefs, right?
Yeah.
You have to have a couple fast movers in there to get stuff going,
Hmm.
basically.
Hmm.
Like otherwise, it's gonna drag its heels. It will just slow down decision making, and it will be ineffective, and it'll just cost the people lots of money. Like I don't know, I'm not saying the people like taxpayers. I don't know actually how the GCC is funded. That would be a very interesting thing if somebody
Hmm.
would like to comment on that. How is the Great Council of Chiefs funded? Is it by the something with the like? Does a certain amount of like lease money go to that, or some sort of like the Itoke affairs, some like that, not them, but like some sort of affairs that we as our Itoke people partake in? Does it go to the GCC? Because when I'm looking at it today, I'm like, sheesh, like big messy and big mats, like white mats, like you said,
Hmm.
like you know, everybody full of salu and grass skirts and everything. I'm like, whoo, some money there. So
Mm.
I don't know. It's interesting. I'm curious how it's being funded. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, they definitely not being funded by the government.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So.
So yeah, like I don't know. If they in any leadership team, if you're all slow movers and you just like to just meet, that's a problem, and that is a really big problem across Fiji in businesses, organizations, NGOs, everything. Just meeting and just making reports and talking, and
Mm.
it's like even in church, what am I going to do about what you just taught me? Please just give me one. This week, every night, you'll sit down with your kids and you'll tell them that you love them.
Mm.
Look in their eyes and say, I love you. Or whatever that is. Like, at least there would be, like, at least just give me something practical,
Mm.
like, to do, you know? And so there is a lot of talk and not a lot of action in a lot of places. So they need some fast movers and they need people who will give, like, having measurable goals is key. Like, to be able to, like, instead of saying, like, say a sermon, right? Like, it would be, I would encourage everybody, to tell your kids that you love them and do it as much as you can. You're saying the same thing, but like every day this week, I want you to do this. And it's like, okay, now you have a measurable goal. It's not just like a lot that's very vague. And like, if you never do it, doing it once a week is a lot, or doing it once a month is a lot compared to never. So, like, having people in these organizations that can come up with measurable goals so you can see like when we didn't reach our goal or when we did is very useful too.
Mm. But I'm really interested in what they will bring GCC.
Yeah, me too.
You know,
Me too.
I'm staying positive and I'm really interested in what they're gonna bring.
Really interested.
Yeah. Got some. Okay, another question from Terrence. When interviewing and looking through CVs, how would you advise people to prepare for job interviews?
When like who am I? Who am I? Or so who am I? Am I like how would if I'm going to try to get a job? How would I prepare?
Repeat the question again.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah.
When interviewing and looking through CVs, how would you advise people to prepare for job interviews? So from like you,
An employee trying to go get
yeah,
a job.
yeah,
Yeah, okay. So if I'm an employee looking for a job, like, I think the biggest thing for you to understand is like this is your one chance in your life, in your history of you existing with that company. You get to look your best. So like if somebody comes like on time to an interview,
mm,
like just like if I'm like, okay, interviews at 9, if they show up at 9, then that is my marker for like that is them. They're just on time. They're
mm,
never the person that's gonna show up 10 minutes early. Because like like the background that I come from, like on time is late. If you're 10 minutes early, you're on time. Like for your work. That's how it was.
mm,
And so in Canada, that would be like the measure. It'd be like, okay, that's as good as you get. You just get the on time person. They're just always just gonna be on time. And like if they're like, if they don't, you know, um they don't look the best, like if they didn't do their hair, like they don't care then because like they will never look better than that one chance. That was the chance that you had to look your absolute number one best in front of that company.
so you're saying the first impression
It all
matters.
goes downhill from there.
Yeah.
Every time. I've never had an experience where like it's better than I thought.
Mm,
Like over time, like with training, like people I guess people sorry, I guess like yeah, like it rarely I shouldn't say that. Like, there are people in management in like some of our different companies that have like impressed us more and more and more. And I
mm,
guess that's why they're management, right?
mm,
So like usually your people, your management will probably be the people that impress you, but very, very rarely, like 99% of the time, that's as good as it gets. And
mm,
from there, like, you know, they if they're on time, then the best that they can do is on time. Like they will probably be late and then they'll be late and they'll be on time and they'll be late. Like if they didn't look their best, they probably will look worse, and then the next month they'll probably look a bit worse
Oh,
and not follow the rules and all this kind of stuff. So if you're looking for a job, do your absolute best because you'll never look better than you do in your job interview.
the first time.
Yeah, your first time. So make the best. That's your first impression. Make the absolute 100% best first impression. And like if you're on the business owner side of it, one thing that the one like thing that I would do in Canada was like I would walk with the person, like I would do the interview and then I walk with the person out to their car to see like what their car looked like. If the car is like gross and dirty inside and like not clean and like it's never been vacuumed, then I'm like, that's how you look after your stuff. How are you gonna look after my stuff? So I would like do the whole interview, then I walk them out to their car and like, just like just like, oh, thank you so
Side
much for
eye.
coming in. Like, really appreciate you. Like, we'll be in touch. We have a few more job interviews to run, but if we're interested, we want to move on to the next step, then we'll be in touch with you. Like, then walk away. Like, dude, my car was nasty. It means they're not going to treat our stuff properly.
Mm,
Next. So, if you're a business owner, like, look at how they treat their own things, and then that helps you make a judgment call at least.
mm.
Yeah. So that's why I always washed my vehicle. And like when I was like, because before, I think that's why it was important to me is because like I would always like lint roll my shirt, make sure like nothing's on here, and like wash my vehicle, clean the inside, and then I go to my interview.
No, this from normally.
Yeah,
Don't wear death metal t-shirts to an interview.
please don't. Yeah, and brush your teeth if you're a smoker. Like wear new clothes. Like if all your clothes smell like smoke, like take out your crazy piercings. Because the thing is, too, we've had some people that have like crazy piercings. Like I don't know if we still have a girl in Canada employed. She has like a piercing right in her forehead, like right here,
Whoa.
like right this like forehead skin.
Mm.
And like we interviewed her, like holy crap, and she had like different purple hair, like Stephanie, but like dark. And it's just like I don't know, man. This is like pretty like because like we also have a first impression with going into people's houses doing the cleaning
Yeah.
with our company in Canada, and so like that is like a really abrasive first impression.
Mm.
Like to have like a punk rocker, like with the chains,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like
yeah.
like we told her like you have to like you can't like have this like smoke because she's a smoker. Like you gotta brush teeth. You gotta take out like your crazy huge earrings and stuff because like it will legit like get caught and stuff.
Right.
Like a hazard, right? And she actually turned out to be a great employee. It was actually a really good hire, but it's like it's hard to look past that stuff. Like
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
wouldn't recommend like I don't think it's a problem for people in Fiji, like
Mm.
piercings and tattoos, like gaudy tattoos. But yeah,
From normally
yeah,
again, trim your nose hairs too, right, Jonathan?
yeah, right, dude. I got so crazy. Can you see that right now? Yeah, but I do have problems with my nose hair. Yeah, now I have to trim my nose hair. It's like coming out, like scratching my eyelid. Shoot,
You're saying put beads on it.
gross. Just braid
Like
my nose
Pirates of the
hair.
Caribbean.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah,
What
you got some questions
I
there?
do, I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll rip through a couple of these. What are some difficulties you're facing as an entrepreneur? Well, I think like the same problem, like same difficulties here in Fiji I experience in Canada, like um staffing problems, like always, like
Mm.
not that my staff are a problem, but that's on me to like establish like good systems and processes that everybody can follow to make it simple, so we can have like the lowest common denominator employee like running the show, like because we have like some very high operational people, like people who can do a really good job, but that is actually not the best case scenario for setting up like a franchise or like trying to replicate it, because like people who actually like when we have like employees who make like what we think are simple mistakes, we're like, okay, that means that we need to note that down and figure out a way to like make sure that doesn't happen again. But like if you had great employees who never made mistakes, then like and you went to another store or tried to start another store with people who weren't that good, like, oh wow, this is a headache. So like yeah, just making sure things are consistent at the store. I think anytime you need to rely on somebody else for your products, like we're making pizza. Um, the coffee thing was so easy. Like we're just milk, coffee, sugar. You know, like really. It was so simple. But the pizza thing, like now we're dealing with suppliers and having to get our flour from here and our cheese from there, and our different ingredients from all these different places. And these guys can just be a friggin' pain in the arse to handle. So
Yashin.
arse
Mm.
to handle. So that would be one of my difficulties. Are there future plans for coffee production? Yeah. Actually, I got coffee seeds. I planted about, well, I don't know, maybe 500-600 coffee trees,
Yeah.
but like also like right around tropical cyclone time. So didn't work out the best. Is there any plan on large cultivation? I could imagine the beauty from the aerial view. Yeah, there is plans. We're going to be planting 20 to 30,000 sandalwood in the next few years. So that's the plan. Would you consider having a family stay with you for a few days for the experience? Uh, yeah, I would consider it, but I probably wouldn't do it. It's like our life is already crazy enough that like we already. This sounds like really like almost entitled to say, but like we feel like our threshold for like giving up our privacy, like on social media, is like already pretty. We've we're at a pretty high
Mm.
peak point. Like we don't leave a lot to the imagination.
Yeah.
So it's like, um, I don't know, like I don't know what, like I guess like you can see what we have here, you can really like it, but like I guess you want to come experience it because you see what we're doing, right?
Mm.
And like you're seeing the kids in the background right now playing rugby, right, having fun for the last couple hours. So that, but like I don't know,
Mm.
you gotta come here and just like sleep in the room next to me and Steph, just hear us making love or something, or
Yes.
like I don't know, like like there's like certain like we don't have like a hotel here. Yeah, paparazzi. Like yeah, like again, there's not a whole lot left up to the imagination. So
Mm.
it's nice to keep some things private. Like I would do it. Like
But
I would
yeah.
definitely do it. Like if we didn't have to be here doing it.
Mm.
Like if there was the structure here, if we focused on like setting up some sort of like bed and breakfast, because we could
Mm.
do it.
But yeah, this would be a good idea for people out there
Oh yeah,
that
for
want to do
sure. Yeah,
BNB or like experience the village lifestyle.
yeah,
Because whoever's listening in, like we have people
yeah.
reaching out, right, Jonathan?
Oh yeah, for
Like,
sure. Yeah,
and
like
they
there's
and they want to experience
people
this
want to come.
culture,
Like we've
the
seen lots of
culture, the
messages
genes. Yeah.
of people want to come stay here, experience the culture, go down and see the guitar singing, and like have some kava, and have their kids down there, playing with all the other kids and like experiencing swimming
Mm.
the river, swinging on the trees, and like floating on the bilimbili, the bamboo raft. And so maybe there is a way that we can offer that. It's just like to offer that and then like to not be here. Like I feel it's like a lot of people would be like, "Oh, we expected to like hang out with you guys," but it's like we got so much going on. Like that's not what we're that's not what we're set up to do.
Mm.
I
Mm.
can't be here. So like if I set up an Airbnb here, then like you know you can come stay, but like I don't have any programs for you. Like,
Yeah.
and the kids are all gone to school. We're at work most of the day. Like we film the moments where we're here, or like when we want to film something about business, then you see it, right? But like from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. basically, there's nobody in the village.
Mm.
So like if you want to come and hang out for like these last 2 hours of daylight, I think you'd actually get a lot of value from it. Like I think if somebody brought their kids here, you know, and just experience this, but like you would have to be okay with like, you know, a downtime in the days. And I don't think that people want downtime when they're on holidays.
Mm.
Which sounds weird. I do. I would love to just go somewhere and just like because that's what I do on holidays. I won't do anything.
Mm.
But there's not a lot of value for money here unless you can put like a lot of value in the last 2 hours of the day, or be here over the weekends where people are like hanging out, going to the farms and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Like then it goes back to like that business idea, right?
Mhm.
If they wanna people out there in
Mm,
Fiji in the
But there,
villages,
yeah, but
yeah,
somebody should definitely do it.
somebody
Like
should do it.
somebody should do it and then tell me, and then I can refer people to you
Yeah.
because like we could send people a solid amount of business
Oh yeah,
if there was
definitely.
like a good homestay setup that we could like actually like vouch for.
Mm,
That you know, because I've been to different homestays, I guess, but you know, none that like really stand out. I guess.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Got
Uh,
another. I got one. Yeah.
okay. Shoot me.
How did you start a business in Fiji? Did you have an agency tell you the process and what licenses you need, what fees there will be, and the wait times? This from Ryan again.
Right. Right. Um, No, I did. So yes and no. So I did a lot of this stuff myself when it came to just initially opening up our businesses. So in Fiji, they talk about business in two different ways. Like you open a company, or or you open a business name, I guess. So when you open a company, like PT Limited, like a private or PT Ltd, what they call like private limited company, um, or just a private, yeah, private company. There's a lot more processes because then you have shares, you have shareholders and stuff like that. So I actually used you can go online if you want to register a business onto the digital Fiji portal online, and you can register your business name and everything like that. You can even pay online if you want. But when it came to registering the companies, Fresh PT Ltd and Waka PT Ltd, I did it through a company called BDO. BDO is based out of Suva. They are a worldwide company. The charges are not cheap, but for somebody who doesn't have anybody that I know or can trust with this process, um, I know I could probably get a better deal. Cost me a few grand per company. I can't remember. It was a while ago now, but I know that they just did everything above board. You know,
Mm,
send all the papers to me when things need to be signed. Explain the things that needed to be explained. If I had questions, they could answer them. And I know that like I said, like a KPMG or BDO, like they're just a worldwide company. So
okay.
I use BDO, really sweet experience with them. I have no affiliation with them other than that I paid full price for the services.
Mm,
So that's who I would use if you're trying to set up a PT Ltd in Fiji. If not, just register it on your own. You don't need a business license in Fiji anymore to operate anyway. So as long as your business is registered with the Birth, Deaths, and Marriages Office, which is also the Business Registration Office, which is known as the Registers of Companies.
mm,
As long as it's done there, registered there, and registered with FIRCA, Fiji Revenue Customs Authority,
mm.
then you're good to go. If it's just a business
Okay.
name, yeah. One more question, and we're gonna shut her down. What did you teach in your training program this morning? Actually, we answered that yesterday, didn't we? That's from Jessica.
Mm,
So yeah, we did a level one customer service training program yesterday, which was just helping out a business. So we do this training just to there's a lot of businesses that need help with customer service. So that's one thing that we offer. So there's 3 levels to the course. We just did level one with this business. So if there's anybody out there that wants like business consultancy services, you guys can just message us on Facebook or Instagram and let us know because I know a lot of people in Fiji struggle with the customer service stuff. And so we would love to give you a hand and blow your customers' minds. So thank you guys so much for joining me. My name is Jonathan Bati. This was On the Mat live on YouTube. We will be doing this again, not tomorrow, but we'll do it on Friday. So we'll see you guys here at Friday at 4:30. Thank you guys so much. We love you all. Peace.